Matthew Harvey with the 12 o'clock siren, recording live at the 903 Broadband Studios at Cowboy Corner on the southeast side of the downtown Leonard Square. On my left is James Quarantini Hartley.
I am. I'm kind of breaking that a little right now, but we're practicing good social distancing. On my left would be Jason Fuller, but he is practicing social distancing right now and will not be able to make it.
Practicing at home, which is wise.
And that's hashtag flatten the curve, right?
Flatten the curve, they say.
Oh, well.
What a weird little time we're in.
It is a strange time. I think we've got to talk about it, right? I mean, this is the episode.
I think so.
We talked about it a little bit, I think, on the recap last week after the Grove Hill Farms.
Rather reluctantly, but it has progressed to levels that we didn't quite see happening, and we don't know what's going to happen in the future now, do we?
Absolutely. I think it's a little uncertain now. I think, just speaking for myself, I'm not, straight up panicking, but I'm concerned. I think I have a healthy concern and a little bit anxious.
Yeah, when portions of the market shut down because of widespread virus, it's not a good sign.
No.
It's a lot of people immediately out of work, which immediately sends a little sends a tidal wave, I guess.
Yeah.
Waves through the other markets, and
Right.
obviously the stock market is pooped.
Well, there's a lot of concern with the stock market, because of there's probably not one pension, airline, firefighter, police officers that are solvent now.
Right.
30-40% dip in the market. Jeez, man.
Affects us all.
Yeah, affects us all. And one thing I think I said last week, I was more worried about these type of effects than I was the virus. I'm still worried about the economic impact of the virus, but I think the virus is to be respected healthily too.
Yeah, it seems like it. The big issue is no vaccine, no cure. Is there a cure needed for a virus? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, I mean, as yet, there's no cure. We have a vaccine for the flu, but that's not 100%, and you still have to rely on your body's own immune system to fight it off.
Right.
This one's this is a coronavirus, and the common cold does not have a vaccine either, which is also a coronavirus, I believe. So, it's something that we've got experts working around the clock on, so hopefully they'll be able to shed some light and give us a path forward. But I think right now the social distancing and semi-quarantine's kind of the right way to go. So
yeah, well, it's changed things around here, that's for sure.
Absolutely. You
notice a lot of those restaurants are closed down now. Not closed down, but not open to the public.
Yeah, they've kind of upended their model a little bit.
Right, and that's unsettling as well. I said markets going out. I think a lot of Dallas area bars are all closed down under mandate, but not around here. We do have some vendors that are still selling their goods, and thank God they are.
Yeah.
Lee's, I know, is one of them. They've got a drive-through around the back, actually. You can just drive up and pick up your stuff. They're still doing that.
Right.
They're doing deliveries, which are from 12 noon till 2 o'clock. And then from 5 to close. And this is all as of March 23rd.
Yeah, things
may change, and hopefully this will be completely irrelevant next week. That'd be cool, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, they've got full menu via drive-through or delivery. 587. Well, 903-587-2189.
2189.
A bunch of y'all probably dialed that number and knew it before I said it.
It's probably in a lot of people's phones.
Yeah. I always said, Jason, what is it? I bet he knows it.
Yeah.
You reckon?
Probably. Oh, I guarantee. What about do we have any other restaurants that are doing that?
Did you see their specials today, by the way?
I did not.
It was $2 burgers.
Oh, man.
$2 pulled pork sandwiches, $1.50 French fries.
That's good.
And like I said, March 23rd, it may change.
Sure.
But check them out.
Follow them on
Go
Facebook.
up there to Lee's. Yeah, it's on there.
Yeah.
That's where I saw it.
Yeah.
But if you're feeling like some hot stuff, Florentina's is still got their doors open.
Really?
They got a little counter at the front door. Before you walk in, she's taking walk up orders, and also call in 903-587-2750.
So that's no dine in, but walk up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, you can walk up, I guess, sit in your car and hang out, or I bet they'll even deliver it to your car,
Yeah,
curbside style.
bet they would.
Speaking of curbside, guess who else is doing curbside?
Who's that?
The Leonard Pharmacy.
That's right. They even have an app.
I just found that out.
I did too.
What is it?
I don't know.
Pocket RX. That's what it is.
RX. All right.
Pocket RX is an app. Download that, and it might make your life a little easier. Not having to go in maybe to place the order or call them, which you can also call at 903-587-3363 or visit them at leonardpharmacy.com. That was a mouthful.
That is, but that's good to know.
But they're recommending that you call in orders for prescriptions and stuff. If you do feel sick, stay at home. And certainly if you have to pick it up, they will deliver it to your car. And I was actually up there today. I dropped off a couple packages and picked up a prescription, and they were running in and out the whole time. So
that's good. Well, I mean, here's the deal, right? Life's got to go on.
Right.
We just have to be smart about it. Yep. And you know, we under quarantine, things get boring. Things get a little bit tedious and monotonous, but now's the time to think about the broader picture.
That's what they're urging is if you're sick, just call in first and see where to go from there. Don't risk going out and making other people sick, no matter what it is. If it's just a cold.
Sure.
Nobody wants to confuse that with something else. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And really, let's obviously we're giving a lot of information here right now. I mean, kind of set the tone for the episode is. We wanted to talk about the virus a little bit. We're gonna call a friend of mine who has some ideas. He's kind of a self-sustained guy. I don't want to call him a prepper, but he's very much into practical things you can do to make yourself a little bit more self-reliant. So this is going to be kind of an informational episode, right? We started with the pharmacy and the restaurants here. Do your part. Stay away from people as much as possible. And help flatten that curve. And some of the other things, I think people who follow me on Facebook know that I don't always trust the government, but one area I do trust the government in is when they give good common sense advice. And the CDC,
as of March
23rd, is giving some good common sense advice, right? Like one, basic hygiene and sanitation, people. Wash your hands, right? Try not to...
Maybe a little more often than you might have before.
Yeah, hand sanitize. The big thing is don't touch your face much, like your eyes, nose, mouth. If anything, I have learned from this pandemic, it's how much I like to touch my face. Yeah. It's like, man, that's a little bit harder than I thought.
I've waited 3 weeks. No, 3 weeks. That's too long. Never mind. Go ahead.
Also the social distancing thing. Stay away, 6 feet, 7 feet from folks. If you feel sick, whatever it may be, sinus infection or coronavirus, stay home, right? Listen to the press briefings in the local governments. They're going to be having directives come out to give some information and give us a path. Also, again, basic sanitation.
Staying in as much as possible, I think, is really big.
That's really big. And the covering your coughs. Sneeze into your elbow, please, not on your hands. And if you do sneeze into your hands, hand sanitize immediately.
Yep.
So
Quick Checks also dine out orders are welcomed, but no dining in. Condiments been removed.
Oh yeah, that's probably a good
kind
one.
Kind of a clever defense. And I saw a cool thing that the Leonard and Celeste Dollar Generals were doing a Senior Citizens Day where they were only open for senior citizens all day. This is last Friday that they did this, but I'm sure they'll be doing something like that maybe this Friday or the next.
Absolutely.
So keep that in mind if you know any older folks or you yourself are an older folk.
Yeah.
That might be helpful to not have to compete with the younger folk like us.
Also, too, speaking of the older community who are known as the most vulnerable right now at this stage, my wife works in the nursing home, and they are very much on lockdown, right? Like the folks in the nursing home, the residents there.
What's that like going in and out? Are
they're
they
screened.
accepting
No,
visitors and things?
if you don't have a badge, you do not get in.
Really?
Unless you're like an essential personnel, like a paramedic or something.
Yeah.
They're screened at the door with temperature and something else. And, it's very much a lockdown situation. So a lot of those people, the residents there that can't see their family and stuff are kind of lonely. So, like she works at Seven Oaks Nursing and Rehab, and she says send cards if you can to the residents. And the address there is 901 Seven Oaks Road, Bonham, Texas 75418. Again, that's 901 Seven Oaks Road, Bonham, Texas 75418. So that's something to think about. It's all these little bits that you don't. I would have never thought about that, about how they're just basically isolated in there. And I mean, my goodness, it's been hard on me.
Yeah.
So, and I've got my family.
Yep.
Okay. Well, you got something else, Matthew? There.
Well, there's the community food pantry.
Well, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
So we've talked on the show before about like donating to the food pantry, donating to the Backpacks for Life program. Now, and still do if you're able to, but now, with people shutting down and people out of work, if you're having a hard time, like, I mean, if your kids are hungry, you're hungry, here's some things that can help with that. So, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's what I was going for. What kind of donations do they accept? I think it's like canned goods and boxed goods.
Yeah, canned goods and yeah, I think boxed goods. Canned goods is probably the best route, I would think.
Donations and pickups can be found at the Methodist Church.
Yeah, and we could talk to Pastor Joe about that when we
the
leave.
Phone number for them is 903-587-3463, just in case.
And what are those two programs? Hold on a second. They are
Backpack food for life.
Yep. And that's for kids that need foods on the weekend. Also, the school is here in Leonard. The school is providing lunches during the weekdays, but you can come to the First United Methodist Church at Leonard at 206 North Main Street and come through the double doors on Houston Street, or we'll set up outside on Saturdays from 9 to 10:30 a.m. and you can pick up food then for your kids.
So school is being held from home, correct?
It is
temporarily, and the school itself is doing bagged lunches.
Yeah, you can
like
come up
normal.
You can come up there and pick them up.
Okay.
Yeah, just kind of the same walk-up type service
that
we were talking about. They are doing homeschooling now. Matter of fact, we got our packets for Wyatt and Walker today in our mail, so parents be on the lookout for that.
And Garrett got one from McKinney yesterday.
So start looking for that. Also, too. She said something.
Homeschool kids, I didn't think about, but they'll be getting packets too. So does this affect homeschooling as well? Or is it like testing? Is it like some sort of state level testing that they...
Well, they've suspended all that state level testing. The STARS test and all that, that's done. So,
but the packets that regular school district receive...
Yeah, it's completely different curriculum. So it's homeschool people are probably actually all squared away. She also said if you follow the Leonard PTL on Facebook, they have a lot of ideas about how to help with homeschooling. There's a bunch of like free codes for online resources that you can use to kind of supplement, So just something. So follow the Leonard PTL on Facebook there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this next segment. I'd like to go ahead and call Russ and get him on. What do you think about that?
Yeah, see if he's available.
Let's do that. Bear with us for just a second.
And Russ is with?
He is with the Air National Guard.
Okay.
He's a full-time member of the Air National Guard out in the unit that I serve with, and really smart dude. So
he's got a self-sustaining sort of
farm
lifestyle farm. He's got a farm.
Yep.
Is this the farm you shouted out?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What was that farm again?
I just went blank.
Hello, this is Russ.
Hey, Russ. It's James.
Hey, how you doing, brother?
Russ,
Good.
This is Matthew Harvey. How are you, sir?
You there?
Yeah.
Did you hear Matthew on that?
I actually was on a different call, so I just switched over. So,
Okay. All right.
Matthew, you want to say?
Gotcha.
Say
Hey,
hello
Russ, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Can you guys hear me well?
Excellent. We can hear you good.
Yeah, you got us well?
Outstanding. I do.
Okay, awesome. Well, one, would like to thank you for joining. We're having a little bit of an informational session here with the podcast. Just telling people we've got in our community here, we've got some restaurants and pharmacies and whatnot doing curbside delivery, and we're talking about the elephant in the room, the big COVID-19 coronavirus. And you and I have talked a little bit about this and just kind of the implications for our country at large. And you've experienced some things in your life that kind of gives you a unique perspective on it. And I was kind of hoping you could give us a little bit of background about yourself, and then we could kind of get into it.
Sure. I've had kind of a unique upbringing. I grew up in Arkansas. My father was a World War II vet that grew up during the Dust Bowl, lived through the Depression, did the whole Grapes of Wrath thing. My grandfather had paid off 200 acres, which was no small feat during Prohibition, running moonshine.
Absolutely.
But things got so bad during the Depression that he took the family to California. They picked fruit for 6 years during the Great Depression. And then he went to South Pacific in 42 and spent 3.5 years there. So I grew up, son of this guy, lived through the Depression, just buckets of nuts and bolts and sorted. Nothing, and as a kid, you're like, oh, geez, whatever, Dad.
Yeah.
And then I got into my mid-30s. I was a college basketball coach. I'd had a really, really great life. I was having a bunch of fun, and the financial crash hit. And I was in debt to my eyeballs. I had forgotten all those lessons. And it was my wake-up call at that point. And it's the same thing I'm sure a lot of folks are going through today. Is like, man, I didn't have two nickels to rub together.
Right.
I got caught with my pants, done everything they told me financially, put my 10% away every paycheck. And, here I was. It was a whole new world.
Right.
So I went down that, what I grew up with about, we had a garden. We grew, all of our own fruit, livestock, everything that way. And I started doing it on a little third of an acre in suburbia.
Where were you at this time?
I was in Idaho, of all places.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, much harsher climate there. The soil was much easier. It was very humbling coming back to the South and thinking you knew how to garden. Texas, my first year, I killed everything.
Yeah.
I want to talk potatoes later, so let's keep that in mind.
Yeah, you bet. That's a great thing. But, my thing about today, I'm just going to talk to, as if I was talking to myself in 2008 and give myself advice then about, man, you're just overwhelmed. There's all this stuff coming in. You don't know what to do. You don't know who to believe, So the first thing I tell myself is sit down, start making a list. How much food do you have on hand? Go through everything, have a really, clean out your fridge, have a really honest inventory of what you have on hand. Clean your house, make your bed. There's a couple different folks. Jordan Peterson wrote a book, and that was one of the tenets in there. And then the Admiral McRaven gave a speech down at UT. Make your bed. Get your house in order. It's going to help you mentally take control of everything else. Call your family and friends. Reconnect with those people, because in the end, in tough times, those folks care about you. They matter, and you'll never know what you can leverage out of those relationships. Job changes happen, good or bad, for everybody.
Well, and I would imagine that it would help a little bit with the anxiety that centers around things like 2008 and this pandemic and whatnot.
Absolutely, yeah. And I was on the West Coast then, so Texas didn't experience that, but my little house I bought had appreciated 25%, and then it depreciated about 60% at the bottom of the market.
No.
So it went, and I was a poor listed guy at the time, fresh back from Iraq when I bought that, and I bought it for $100,000. It was worth about 125 in 2007, and then by 2010 it was worth about 75 grand.
Oh man.
So yeah, but you know what? I kept it. I had roommates. There are all these different things that you can do, through that to keep your house.
Right. Now, as that was kind of your wake up call, and it kind of got you into this preparedness mindset, and right, like the intention of this, right, with COVID-19 is to kind of think like, okay, worst case scenarios, everything goes kind of, the wrong way. But what are just some things that even if it's not that bad, but people are obviously saying, hey, our system's fragile. I want to make sure I'm kind of prepared going forward for
Right.
another scare like
That
this.
might be the big takeaway from a lot of this is how fragile
Sure.
the system
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Well, and if you guys have a chance, there's a book by it's called Black Swan by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. He's a theoretical mathematician. He actually coined the phrase anti-fragile, talking about how to strengthen systems, because the banking system was so fragile in 2007,
Right.
and that's part of what the book's about. But the first thing for everybody, just remember that right now, the most godforsaken place on earth, Somalia. You can go to a restaurant, sit down and have a meal. They have cell phone service. They have mechanics fixing cars.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to keep in the forefront of your mind there.
Yeah.
At least it's not
there.
Somalia.
Right.
Right. Well, they haven't had a central government in 20 years?
Yeah.
Right.
And life goes on.
Right.
There's not there's a lot of continuity there. But beyond that, so sit down, calm down. Next, right now, and because that was my big thing was, how do I get out of debt? Is that taking on a second job? Is that getting a roommate? Is that, selling some stuff? Whatever it is. The next thing is, and I'm going to get to the food and growing stuff and all that in a second, but start exercising. Go for a walk.
Yeah.
Get out of your house. Don't sit in front
I'm
of the
seeing a
TV
lot
and
of that. I drove through McKinney, which is a pretty densely populated suburb here, and it was a ton of people out walking. Obviously, kids are home from school and everybody's stir crazy, but there's way more than I've noticed on a usual work day.
Yeah, and even if you're, if we go to the full lockdown, you're confined to your house. You can do burpees, you can do push-ups, you can do lunges. There are all these different things that take care of your body right now. Take a multivitamin. And then now I'm going to move to why you guys invited me here. And I want everyone to think back to two different things. World War II, right, which was for us, we were coming out of the Great Depression. It was a existential threat. Either America was going to prevail or we were all going to be speaking German or Japanese, right?
Right.
And the Victory Garden was a governmental program about how that was a big part of helping win the war, right? Almost half the produce grown in America during World War II was grown in backyard.
Wow.
So it is something really, really easy to do. And then the other side is, the other superpower that has actually gone through a collapse was the Soviet Union, 1991, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was in high school, but I was a super, political nerd. So I was very aware of what was going on. And the thing that no one ever talks about, we talk about the oligarchs and all the theft and everything that went on during the country. No one starved to death then. Have you guys ever read about why?
No.
So they had, before this happened, they had what were called Dasha gardens, right? It was the same thing as the Victory Garden. It was in folks' backyards. They were already growing half the produce. So when everything, governmental services broke down, everything like that, and there was a big void there for a couple of years, there wasn't mass starvation. There weren't riots. Life continued. And a big part was because they could grow a big portion of their own food. So my thing is, most folks don't live in a farm like I do. You're in a urban setting. I think most of your folks are probably in a suburban setting, a little bit of both, right?
That's about right. Yep.
So anywhere from a quarter-acre lot to an acre lot, there is so much food that you can grow and still not, upset the HOA.
Well, that's one thing we don't have to worry about much here is HOAs.
Correct.
Perfect. And if you do, there are ways around that, but if you don't, even better.
Sure.
So the thing that they have a ton of at Walmart right now, Tractor Supply, wherever you want to go, they have fruit trees, right?
Right.
You may not get a harvest this year, but every year moving forward, you're going to have fruit. As far as ROI goes, return on investment, it is really hard to beat what you get out of a $20 tree.
So what's something we can grow in Northeast Texas?
Perfect. So things that grow really well here are stone fruits. So plums, peaches, apricots, they bloom too early here, so you'll get a good harvest, every 2 to 4 years, depending on how the weather breaks.
Gotcha.
But peaches do really, really well here.
Yeah.
You've got a couple of local nurseries that will, ship stuff to you right now. You've got Leg Nursery over in they're west of Weatherford, about an hour, and then you've got in Lindale, Dave Wilson, I think, is the name of the nursery. I've been over there, but both those places mail order everything. Leg Nursery $10 a bare root tree. There's still time, especially as wet and cool as it's been, to put bare root trees in the ground. And like peaches, plums, pomegranates do really well here.
What about avocados? We were talking last night. We can make a killing off avocados.
Yeah.
We're probably a little too north. Or is that accurate?
It is. Now there's some things you can do with avocados. You can put them into a big container and put them out in your back porch, and you don't have to limit how tall they get, but you can definitely do that. They have some cold hardy varieties, but even I'm halfway to Waco, and even where I'm at here, I tried them. They put them in the ground. It just gets too cold every third year.
Yeah,
right.
So it is what it is there. But yeah, you can definitely do those as a container. Lemon trees do really the improved does really, really well in containers here. You'll get, a dozen, 15 lemons a year on a small tree out of a big, 50-gallon pot. And then there are Texas Satsumis that do really just extremely well here. It's a fantastic little orange. And again, those, they're $35 a tree, but they have an orange that, ripens around Christmas time. It's fantastic.
So let me set up a scenario here for you.
Sure.
It's 2020. We're on the cusp of this global pandemic here. You're a listener of this podcast somewhere in Northeast Texas. You have a quarter acre or so to work with. You're concerned, right? You're on self quarantine. You're doing daily PT, and you've taken an inventory of your food. You don't have as much as you'd like on hand and you're paranoid. You think things are going to go south with this. What do you do?
So on the paranoid side, I go find 2 doe rabbits and a buck.
Okay.
So rabbits, as far as meat, your grass clippings will keep them happy.
Yep.
The 2 does, and you can breed them. There's all kinds of information. Texas A&M Extension has a fantastic selection of stuff online. To if you're paranoid, print it off. Have it on hand.
Sure.
But you can get 300 pounds of meat a year from 2 productive doe rabbits and a buck.
Okay, good to know.
They're quiet. You can, they're easy to skin. They are super as far as dressing. They're super easy to harvest. The meat's super lean. It tastes like chicken. I know everyone says that, but it really, really does. It cooks really well. It is a fantastic thing. And then the rabbit manure is absolutely fantastic as an additive to your garden.
All right.
That might be the best advice I've heard lately.
Yeah. We're getting into it now.
Really I like it. Yeah. Keep going, please.
Yeah. So on those things, and if you want to be, super productive and be selling some of your neighbors, go to 4. And now all of a sudden you've got enough for a family of 4, and then you can start trading around the neighborhood. Again.
When you said grass clippings, are you talking free range or like cut grass that I get in a bag from my mower? I can just dump it in there and they'll eat it up.
Go get a bag on your mower. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Go get a bag on your mower.
Horses can't eat that, right?
What's that?
Horses can't eat grass like that.
They can't because they'll founder.
Right.
And again, worst case scenario, that horse has got about 1,000 pounds of meat on the hoof.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, so I would look at rabbits. Go to Craigslist. Folks have them all over. You're going to have all the kids that were showing their rabbits aren't going to have a place for them. There's a great place to go.
Yeah.
Chickens would be the second thing.
Yeah.
And again, Craigslist, Nextdoor, Facebook, whatever. I think Facebook actually has a prohibition on selling livestock, but chickens, you get a couple things. They will recycle all your food scraps.
Yep.
They turn out, a really fantastic manure. You have to let it compost for a year, but again, right back to the garden. And then the eggs and the meat. So, the chicken would be my second choice. They're a little bit louder, but you can definitely, keep them in a backyard. You can supplement their feed just by moving them across the grass in your backyard.
Right.
It won't be nearly enough, but it will definitely, cut your bill down in half.
All right, so now you've got rabbits and chickens in your backyard.
You got a fruit tree.
Got a couple fruit trees.
I want to know about vegetables.
Yeah.
Well, before we get to vegetables, let's talk about two more things that do really well here in North Texas.
Yeah.
Mulberry bushes or mulberry trees.
Okay.
They grow super fast. It's a great wood, and they will overwhelm your production in 2 to 3 years. And then blackberries. Blackberries love edge. They love to be planted against a fence. You know, they really love, half shade during the day, full sun in the morning. So if you plant them on the east side of a fence that runs north-south, where they get that morning sun and they get a little respite in the afternoon, they will do really, really well. And that's a generational thing you can plant. So they will just come back year after year, really low maintenance, do really well here in North Texas. But so on to the garden, right?
Yeah.
Man, so here's the thing. Lettuce, we're coming up against, you can plant lettuce right now, you'll get a succession, but it's going to be too hot by the middle of June to plant any more lettuce. Yeah. So your lettuces, arugulas, rockets, there's all kinds of things. And here's the other thing to go back about fruit, vegetables, everything. You see a very limited number of things in the store because there's so few things that ship well and store well. So there is a literal ton of things that you can grow that you've never seen before that are super fantastic as far as taste, quality, and everything. They'll wilt, a day after you pick them. So all your greens are coming up towards the end. Now there is something that'll do well here during the summer called, there's two things: New Zealand spinach, which doesn't bolt in the heat, and then did you gentlemen know that sweet potato leaves taste like spinach?
No. No, I did not.
So you can so now the ground, we don't plant sweet potatoes till, depending how warm the ground is, into May, middle of June, somewhere in there, right? But there is something that you've got tubers growing. You can thin the leaves. You can't strip it; it'll kill it. But you can, 25% of the leaves, and then they'll regrow more leaves as you go through. But you can eat it raw. You can steam it, just like spinach.
Oh wow, it's good knowledge right
there. And sweet potatoes. There's another thing. Do really well here in the South. We'll take a variety of really poor soils. Give you a ton of calories. It's filling. It's an underrated thing that, and it's historically it's been a poor person's food. Just like okra. Okra is another thing that does. You will have more okra than you know what to do with. You'll probably, again, be throwing it at neighbors, whatever.
Sure,
but that's good.
Yeah.
So those are all things that you can grow here that do really well. I'm a tomatoes, peppers, onions, cilantro guy.
Yeah.
The problem with cilantro is it's a cool weather crop. So you can plant one, a batch right now. It's going to start to bolt by the middle of June. Half my yard is cilantro because every time it bolts, I just let the seeds stay.
Sure.
Which is coriander, by the way. The seeds on your cilantro plant, they're all heirlooms, so they'll grow true to type. I just pluck those seeds off and throw them everywhere.
Nice.
So every time I mow the grass, it smells like I hit a taco truck.
So you. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, peppers do really well here. Our soil is it's awful where I'm at. I've got the black gumbo, so I do a ton of amendments. This is no time to be worried about organic gardening. If you're, if this is maybe this is it.
Sure.
Garden, 7 dust, just traditional fertilizers. This is the year to make sure everything makes.
Right. Absolutely. I agree.
And then
with
tomatoes, the problem we have here with tomatoes is you need to get them in the ground immediately. I would go with a determinant, which is like a celebrity does really well here. There's a bunch of determinants, but the way our season breaks, as soon as it gets above about 78 to 80 at night, if that's as cool as it gets, they stop producing flowers. They stop pollinating. And that's going to happen by the 1st of July. So when you get a determinate plant, what that does is it puts all the tomatoes out at once, and then the plant's done. And then you don't have to worry about it. You pull it out, and you're going to be planting stuff in the fall for your fall crop.
So now you're this guy on your quarter acre. You've got some rabbits, chickens, a couple fruit trees. You've got some tomatoes, some spinach, some tubers, or some sweet potatoes. Matthew wanted to talk potatoes.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
So here, I have seen a bunch of different methods. I have yet to successfully grow potatoes in Texas. In Idaho, you can just throw them at the ground and you come back and there'd be 20 pounds there.
Right.
The most interesting thing that I've seen is it's named after a gal, but I was going to try it this fall. You take old hay, you put it down, you let it set for the winter,
Uh-huh.
and then in the spring you just come and you put it underneath the hay mulch.
Gotcha.
You take your quarters, put it there. The soil. The problem is when you have this hard, compact clay soil, it's really hard for those tubers to expand.
Sure.
Well, if you have amended soil that's soft and loamy, or if you happen to have great soil where you're at, because it really does vary from place to place. That's a great, or in containers. Now that would be the one thing that I would definitely look at, and I think you'd have a lot of success with.
Sure.
There are things out there on the internet about using boards. You can use pallet wood. You just put the dirt in, you put the potato in, and then you cover it with dirt as it grows up. And you put the slats up and you grow it tall. And there are tons of folks doing really, really fantastic things with that.
I live on what would be considered blackland prairie, which is pretty hard black.
It's pretty much the same gumbo you have down there.
About the same.
Right.
We get a lot of bulbs, green onion bulbs.
Garlic too.
Yeah, garlic. They seem to do pretty well around here. Are you seeing anything like that?
Oh yeah, I grow a ton of onions. Basically, my focus is because I love pico more than just about anybody on this planet.
Yeah.
So I grow garlic. I grow onions. Onions. I mean, your sets right now. You want to get those in the ground. A little fertilizer. Oh, Dixondale Farms is here in Texas, and they will send you starts right now in the mail. And those folks, I've had really good luck with their produce. And the onions, regardless of where I put them, I've always had them come out and do really, really well. I would go with the red Creole that Dixondale offers because it stores for 6 months.
Oh, wow.
And as somebody who's still eating onions from last September, I can tell you that's the truth when they say that.
Mm.
So, cool. that would be the onion I would go with. If you're looking for it's a bold flavor. It's not the sweetness that you get from the white or the mildness you get from a yellow, but it'll store for 6 months. But you can eat them, leave them in the ground. You can start eating them after about a month. They're going to be small. Send them that way, eat them, and then, whatever you have at the end of the season goes right into your, a drawer.
Sure.
Someplace it's cold.
Does your diet
dark?
Does your diet work around what you have on hand? I mean, do you use the grocery store to supplement, or how's that work? Because obviously you have to eat what you're growing and when you grow it. How do you work that into your diet?
So where I'm at now, I mean, we do beef, pork, meat, chicken. I sell eggs. I've got a 95 by 30 greenhouse, 12 feet in the middle as height. So we've been protein independent here for about 2 years now. And then this year, I just built this greenhouse last year, and this year my goal was to be veg independent. So here's the next step. So you plant all these things, right? You're going to have a little bit of excess.
Yeah.
How do you keep what you have excess? Whether that's rabbit, eggs, whatever.
Can that stuff?
Dehydration is, with canning. I'm going to get to the canning, but dehydration is really underrated, especially for eggs. You can scramble eggs up, cook them really well, throw them in your dehydrator, and put them in a mason jar, and they're going to be good for a couple years.
What?
Really?
So you can have the.
How do you
reheat that somehow, like in a?
Yeah, now it's going to have a different consistency, but the flavor is going to be the same, and it's going to be all the same calories for the most part.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of YouTube videos out there about dehydrating eggs.
Huh.
And then the canning, I taught myself to can in 2008, and I grew up watching it.
There's a little bit of a science and art to it, right?
Oh, there's a hard science to it. And balls, the canning the can.
Ball.
They have
ball jars.
Ball jars. They have a couple of cookbooks that you can order. They've printed tens of thousands of them. The thing to remember about canning is all those recipes that you get from Ball's. They've got two really great canning books. They're all USDA approved, which means they take into account botulism, which is the number one thing you have to worry about when you're canning, and then just food safety overall. So I would buy either one of those, buy the book used, save some money. Thrift Books is a great place to go for all this stuff. And then there's always Amazon. But canning is definitely something that you can put away the harvest. It tastes fantastic when you open those fresh tomatoes up, whether it's tomato paste, tomato sauce, spaghetti sauce, whatever you've done with it, really does. It's amazing what the difference is. And the other thing is, there's nothing more satisfying than eating what you've grown.
Right. Yeah.
So
nothing more satisfying than a meal that you cook yourself.
Yep.
Says Marge Simpson.
Oh, for sure.
That's it. Well, Russ, before we let you go here, I don't want to use, scary words like the collapse, but in times of austerity, I guess that's a better word, right? We live up here in a pretty rural community. Everybody knows everybody, kind of farming, ranching community. What's some things to consider as we go forward where there might be some times of sacrifice and how important do you see community and those around you?
I think the thing to remind yourself and remind your friends and everyone around you is that the stock that we're from as Americans, we tamed an entire continent in about 50 years. We went through the Great Depression. We went right to World War II. The boys that survived came home and built this amazing place. You're the fruit of those men that built these things. We are a tough people. And the biggest thing that we do is we take care of each other. We help one another.
Right.
And community, it's got to start in your family. Right now, with all the stress that's going to be happening, it's really easy to lash out at your wives and at your kids. You've got to work as men to be good to your wife, to teach your children these skills and explain to them, if they're in their teens, they need to know what's going on.
Right.
But explain to them, these are skills that you need to have for life. You need to know how to change a tire. You need to know how to plant something. You need to know how to harvest a rabbit.
Right.
Get out. Go visit your neighbors. Everybody's a little paranoid right now about face to face. But man, go call folks. Make sure that there is no better time than right now. It's just like planting a tree. The best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago.
Yep, right. That's good advice.
The second best time is today.
Yeah.
And it's no different in building community. And I know that you guys, because I've listened to a couple of your shows, I know how important, you guys are to your community and vice versa, and how much you love the folks in your town. Be good to each other. Take care of each other. And those are the things that I remind yourself every day. This is not the darkest hour that this country has seen by any stretch of the imagination. We have the power's on. We have the internet. We are so blessed compared to what my people saw in the 30s during the Depression.
Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, but you have to be intentional about every day, about how you're treating people. Take that step back. A great podcast to listen to besides you guys might be Jocko Willink.
Yeah.
Because he talked about, guys' absolute worst day. If somebody can survive the Bataan Death March, we can make it through, whatever's coming for the next year or two.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Well, Russ, we really appreciate your time, man. Thanks for taking it and giving us a call and let us, kind of let us in on how you view life and the things you're doing. That hopefully that's going to help ease some people's mind and give us some direction around here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Russ. That's some very awesome perspective, and the advice you gave, I think, is pretty priceless if taken and used.
Well, I appreciate you guys, and man, anytime I can be of service, let me know. And I really enjoyed it. Thanks again.
Outstanding, Russ. I appreciate you, brother, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
See you.
Take it easy.
Master Sergeant Russell Snow of the 136th Airlift Wing.
There he is.
Yeah.
There he goes.
I liked what he said, that we're the fruit of pretty tough people. right?
Yeah,
So
that was a solid final message there.
it was.
From him. I like that a lot. That hits home.
It's not the darkest hour, right?
Absolutely
but people
not.
are concerned, and maybe it's time to become a little bit more self-reliant.
It might inspire somebody to grow a garden.
That's it. I'm going to grow a garden.
Yeah, I like the rabbit thing.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. They reproduce, right?
Just great. Gave
good,
3 of them away.
It's good protein. It's, like you said, quiet.
Nope.
They eat grass.
They eat grass.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I have a lot of grass to, clippings to dump into a creek that I could feed rabbits.
Right. Absolutely.
I got to get my wife to start processing them, though. I think that's going to be a tough sell.
Well, download the YouTube videos while we still have the internet.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I've also been thinking about doing that too, watching more how-to videos on YouTube, just little small survival things here and there.
Absolutely. We the truth is YouTube is an amazing resource for just about anything.
Life's instructions could go away real quick.
Oh yeah.
With the YouTube gone.
Yeah. Think about it, man. I mean, if it internet blinks out, there's going to be a lot of, how do you think I learned to cook that stew I put up on the page
the internet, YouTube.
Absolutely. So,
what have you been doing in your spare time? I would assume spare time.
Well, so, I'm very blessed that I still have a job that is paying me to work. So I do a lot of, conference calls and stuff.
Yeah.
But also I've been reading up on survival skills a lot lately.
That YouTube segment we just did, that's what you've been doing?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Drinking some.
A little drinking?
A little drinking.
Yeah.
Little quarantine therapy.
That's why I called you Quarantini.
That's it. I'm gaining the quarantine 15, though.
Good Lord. 15, is that it?
Just sitting around.
That was last week, man.
I know.
God.
I know.
I've been checking crawfish traps.
Yeah, I saw that.
Doing poorly at it.
That's all right.
I caught 3 yesterday. I threw them back in the cage.
Yeah.
It's like, keep eating, guys. There's still cat food left.
Well, every time you pull up a haul like that, I think of the Forrest Gump scene where he's like, catch a few more of those, you can have yourself a cocktail.
Come on, got yourself a cocktail.
Yeah. Hey, before it gets too late, I also wanted to make one other call to Pastor Joe.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna make this call real quick. We just thought that maybe
he talked to me the other day about doing some recording up here, maybe.
Man,
while congregation is frowned upon and not encouraged.
Congregating.
Yep.
We did drive-through communion the other day.
Did you?
Hey, James, Joe here.
Hey, Pastor Joe, how are you?
I'm good.
Hey, we got you on the air. Matthew's here too.
Howdy, Matthew Harvey here. How are you, sir?
Hi, Matthew. Good to talk to you.
Thanks for coming on.
We were
sure.
We were just chatting about drive-up communion and the spotty theology behind that. So,
can you catch us up on that? Because you talked to me on the phone the other day about it, and I was wanting to get the full story from you.
Well, about the drive-up communion?
Yeah.
Yeah, the idea of coming and going, but it's just a visual thing of like quick faith or quick grace, and that's the farthest thing from what we were trying to do, and I think what we accomplished with it. Just the visual of it to me, just again, oh, do we really want to do this? But you know what? It was a real blessing, and folks so appreciated. If just for a second, just for a few minutes, to be able to be back at church with just a couple of folks from the church, and it was a way to reconnect, and it was really something. It really was. And I'm glad we did it, and the folks that participated were blessed as well. Can you guys hear me okay? I want to make sure if I need to be on speaker or just like I am right now.
Yeah, we didn't ask you either. You can hear us both too, right?
I can hear you just fine.
Yeah, it sounds great.
You sound good.
Okay, good.
Well, and I will, as someone who participated in the drive-through communion, we were very appreciative of it. It gave a sense, a little bit of while it was abnormal, it was a sense of normalcy, seeing some people, and it was good.
It was definitely out of the norm. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the reason we've had this episode today, we decided to make, it's the main thing everybody's talking about right now, right? The COVID-19 virus, and we.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The what?
Go ahead. Exactly.
Still got the sense of humor.
Yeah, that's important in these times.
It is.
Really, it is. Yeah.
Absolutely. So actually, you know, when I just to step back a second, when I went through survival school in the Air Force, they talked about that, about how much a positive mental outlook and sense of humor is important in trying times. Anyhow, we were having this informational episode. We talked a little bit about some of the charities like the Backpack for Life and the food pantry. And if you're out of work because of the shutdown and your kids are hungry, where you can go. We talked about some of the pharmacy and the restaurants doing curbside. We also had a guy call in that he's a little bit of a practical prepper and lives a very self-reliant kind of off-grid lifestyle. He talked a little bit about gardening. So we thought something else that is very important in these times is faith. And we thought we'd give you a call to kind of talk about, just how people can alleviate some of their anxiety, where to turn and kind of some things to meditate on in these kind of anxious times.
Sure. Well, yeah, absolutely. A positive attitude. And it, moments like this, times like this, will tend to wear us down very quickly, emotionally and spiritually. There, a sense of fatalism and, that gosh, this will never end kind of feeling comes over us very quickly.
It does.
And so we're, really not but 2 weeks into it, more or less. And I think uncertainty, as much as anything else, is as much of an enemy to us right now as COVID-19 is itself.
That's
true. Because we don't know for certain, and we just by our nature, just by human nature, we want answers. We want to know things, and it's like the old truism, God give me patience and give it to me right now. We want answers right now. We want to know what's going on because we don't like uncertainty. It gives us a sense of insecurity, and it tends to snowball in the wrong direction. Emotionally, and it wears on our relationships, especially with everybody being all enclosed,
absolutely,
in the house with each other. It and guys, as well as I do that as the husbands and dads, that we have to be able to give that positive outlook and positive influence on everybody else around us, so that they can feel secure and to know that this will end. This is not an ongoing forever kind of thing. This is not the new normal. I'm not buying that. Whoever's saying that should knock it off, because this isn't the new normal. This is an abnormal and an abnormality. We'll have a ways to come out of it because of the economic effects that it's going to have, as well as with the pharmaceuticals and things.
Sure.
But so for folks who don't have a relationship with God in their lives, that they can turn to that higher power, they're folks that are going to feel demoralized and defeated real quick and no place to go. And I've got a real concern for those. I'm not concerned about folks in our churches and folks that live in a relationship of faith, and because I'm pretty confident 98% of us we know with all the certainty of each breath we take that God is in control of all this, and that God is with us, through dark times, through tough times. Always has been, always will. That's His promise. We have to remind each other of that, I think, and so we remind each other by going to the source. Somebody has said that one of the great things that's going to come out of this is that people are going to start picking up their Bibles again and reading, because there's no sports on TV. If I got to have another conversation with the wife, come on, I'll pick up the Bible and start reading it. That kind of thing. But seriously, people are going to start turning, I believe, to Scripture again for a source of faith and hope, and that's where they're going to find it. Yeah. Now, I wouldn't go right to Exodus with the plagues in Egypt. Yeah. That might be a bummer.
Yeah. Where would you go though? If you're a new if you're kind of a baby Christian or you're not super familiar with the Bible, but maybe you've,
Sure.
you're a Christian nonetheless, where
Grab,
where would you look at?
grab any Bible that's got Old Testament, New Testament, open it up in the very middle. You're going to find yourself in the Psalms. Start with Psalms.
Okay.
So there's 150 of them, and you can pretty much find them in the middle of the Bible. But if not that, go to the table of contents. It's okay. You can find it. It's
Sure.
all right to use the table of contents. But there's a psalm for every emotion, every fear, every anxiety, for every adulation, for every feeling of joy that we have as human beings. That they're so expressive of who we are and our relationship in or out of our relationship with God.
Sure.
There are psalms that scream at God in anger, and there are psalms that cry out with so much joy that the psalmist it has to repeat themselves. It's that their love for God and everything in between. So the Psalms are a good place, go from there. I think God leads us to the passages that He wants us to read.
Absolutely. But Psalms is a good place to start.
Yeah.
Right.
Psalms would be a good place to start.
Well, and did I see something on the United Methodist page about food pantry maybe open at different hours?
Yeah, we opened it up today for the morning, and we'll open it up again before the next the food pantry, the Leonard Community Food Pantry that's housed at First Methodist, just on Main Street there, a block and a half off the square, is normally open the third Monday of every month.
Gotcha.
But we'll open up as need basis,
Gotcha.
and because we've got the feeling that as this may be prolonged, that either people won't want to get out and get to the stores, or they may not feel like, well, I don't want to be in a line and being right next to somebody and all that kind of stuff, and,
Sure.
and be in a crowd, or they may not have, just may run out of money. And we want folks to know that what we have is available, and we don't have a wide selection of things, but we do have a pretty good supply of foods, to get good, healthy, wholesome food on the table. And so we'll be opening up periodically, and it'll be on on the church's Facebook page. Debbie Leslie, a lady here in our community and a member of our church, is the director of the food pantry, and she'll get the word out, and she'll get the word out through the regular clients that
Sure.
we see monthly. And so we're hoping that word of mouth and through the Facebook and other means that the word will get out when we open up. So, just kind of stay tuned.
Absolutely.
But we'll have that available to anyone in the community.
Well, that's good. We'll share it here through our channels as well.
You want to give us an update on service times and such?
Well, we're not sure. We're gonna attempt our first Facebook Live, and we're learning this week on how to do that. I'm guessing it'll probably be the normal time, which is 10:15, and so we'll keep our fingers crossed and see how that goes. We have no idea what's going to happen, so you may want to tune in just to see if we get through this thing.
Sure.
But we're shooting for this coming Sunday at our normal time, so that that's when folks are in the congregation are used to being at church. So we'll shoot for there, and see what happens.
Well, I told you if you wanted to put the message on our format here, you're more than welcome, and we might just get with you and just recording it while you do your Facebook Live. We could very well just record it and upload it straight to our platform if you want to put it out in an audio only form.
That'd be great. Yeah, it'll be more than just a message. We'll have as much of the normal worship service as possible.
Cool.
With our prayers and Apostles' Creed and some singing. We'll, like I said, we're working through the technical end of it.
Excellent.
But, we'll try to do that. So I want to assure folks that God did not create this COVID-19, and this isn't judgment on humans.
Right.
This isn't God trying to teach us a lesson. He's not trying to test us. He's not. One of my pastor friends on Facebook said, God's so fed up with us, he sent us all to our rooms.
Right.
Well, again, humor's a great medicine, and I know he doesn't believe that. It's just fun.
Sure.
But none of this has anything to do with God's plan for us, and God is not at fault. It's impossible. God is incapable of creating anything evil, and things like COVID-19 and Ebola and tornadoes and those kind of things we call natural evil.
Sure.
There are things that just happen in a fallen world, and whether folks want to admit it or not, the world we live in is a fallen world.
Sure.
This isn't God's plan for us. This is how we've messed things up.
Sure.
And so God's with us in all this, and he's pulling for us. I really, come on, guys. I've given you a brain. Let's put things together.
I think the hope
you can get through this.
I think the hope here is right as things kind of even out and get back to normal, that we'll come through this with a stronger sense of faith and a stronger sense of community. So.
Absolutely, and I'm so encouraged by the innovations that people are coming up with. Distilleries making hand sanitizer.
I wanted to get to that. I'm glad you brought that up.
Just like overnight. Hey, we can do this. People are trying to outthink this disease, and they're succeeding. That's encouraging.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Pastor Joe, I appreciate it. Thanks for your time. As usual, you've kind of become the siren chaplain here. So we like having you like on demand.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Okay. Well,
we appreciate your words of encouragement. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. You can talk about the distilleries now.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Will do. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
All right. Bye, guys.
All right. Pastor Joe of the First United Methodist Church in Leonard, he reminded me that he's on Facebook, and I'm glad he has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
It makes me go, oh! Yeah. I put some humorous stuff out there. Anyway.
Depends on your humor, right?
I guess it's all
if
perspective.
It's dark humor, light humor.
That's it. Yeah, distilleries making sanitizer. That's
I
cool.
saw that last night on the news. I wanted to bring it up. It's in my notes somewhere.
Guess what?
Louisville is making hand sanitizer for a local hospiel.
Yeah, guess
Pretty
what?
Cool.
That's the free market providing where a need,
It is. Well, there's a lot of that. I think the Trump administration solicited Haynes and GM and Ford and Tesla.
For ventilators.
Yeah.
And
which is a lot like what happened for World War II.
Well, right, but here's the difference, though. One thing, and look, I've been a Trump critic pretty vocally where I feel it's been needed. But one thing I appreciate about him is I don't think he's enforced those war power acts, right? And because he said we don't need to, they're doing it. The free market in the private sector is providing because we need it to.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to put the thumb on, and I like that. That's good. Dude, if there's ever another time for a Lessons on Liberty episode,
well, yeah,
boy, we're in the midst of it. It has been a while. Jeez. But, it's one of those things. It's like, I don't like the government telling me I want to stay inside, but I'm probably going to stay inside,
Well, you got into a discussion the other day on the Facebooks about, I think a guy said, now is the time for government to step in. And you kind of went back and forth, and I think eventually you went, okay, yeah, I can see what you're saying is. And I wondered how he was going to justify saying that. And he did it more eloquently than I can say. I think you recall what I was talking about.
Vaguely.
I forget who it was, but anyway, they said, well, now is the time for government to step in and help out. It's when they can provide a useful resource.
Oh, right. Let's just not make the problem worse.
Yeah, kind of like how CNN is with natural disasters. They're good at reporting it. Like, just stick to that.
Just stick to that. Yeah, don't do anything else.
Yeah.
No, and look, government government is there to help the people. It's for the people, of the people, right?
Yeah.
And by the people and all that jazz. Honestly, there's a whole nother show's worth about the stimulus package and things that we could get into that I'm not sure how it's going to play out. I don't really know what the end is here with this virus. I mean, if it drags on much longer and people start losing jobs and can't make mortgage payments, am I okay with the government saying, hey, everybody just pause, let's defer some mortgage payments, rent, don't evict people? I kind of am.
Yeah,
I kind of am. That is government interference, and I'm probably breaking with some of my libertarian principles there. But for us all to come through if they just say, hey,
this would be one of those situations that you might consider outside anybody's control.
Absolutely.
I mean, certainly ours and questionably our government's control.
Absolutely. And if, I mean, them saying, hey, everybody, just pause. Don't evict anybody. Don't, repo anybody's house. But
there's no reason anybody in this country or world, really, not world, but should be responsible or penalized
for this pandemic.
For any of this,
Now that said, if they say we're gonna put $7 trillion more into circulation, don't do that.
Yeah,
that's terrible. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
So there's, I don't know. It's we're in a very uncertain time, and that maybe my kind of the impetus behind this episode was maybe to calm my own nerves, because I've been kind of anxious about it. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, during quarantine, I've been looking up survival stuff and how to plant victory gardens. And
great thing about it is I haven't heard about the Democratic presidential bid in 3 weeks.
No, I did see Joe Biden freeze in front of the camera awkwardly, and his wife had to direct him and say, "Okay, come on." It was.
Are they still doing rounds, making rounds?
Not really.
Did you see the debate with no audience?
No.
It was awesome.
I bet that was awesome.
It was very odd because you're expecting the crowd to start cheering for Bernie at one point, or, when they kind of get into each other and it's like nothing, it just falls dead.
Right.
And they're kind of expecting it, even though they know there's no audience, but it's worth watching just for the fact that there's no reaction.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And then they had to figure out whether what they're saying is being tweeted well or not,
Yeah.
And they have no clue, so they're actually kind of being honest.
A little bit more genuine than normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not honest, but
they're
more genuine is probably a better way to say it.
Sure. It's at least more authentic.
It was fun to watch.
I heard too that they had UFC fights without the audience.
Really?
Yeah. Which, I don't know, getting in a ring and hitting each
Spreading
other with
blood on each other. It's not
saliva.
exactly social distance. It sounds like My Girl and watching in Blood Brothers.
Yeah.
We watched that the other night.
Oh, how was that?
We had to explain not to do Blood Brothers.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Man, I've never explained
we
that
cried.
to my kids.
He didn't cry.
Yeah. But I heard it was cool to watch it without the audience there. It was just two fighters going at it. So. Yeah. Well, what else? We got anything else?
Man, I don't know. We don't have any real plans coming up, so just bear with us on these things. We're going to try to throw some stuff together, probably phone calls.
Yeah, probably phone calls.
My wife has got a doctor arranged to give us a doctor's perspective.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I think an emergency room doctor.
Awesome.
His perspective on maybe what to do, what the actual virus is, something from a medically educated man or woman. I'm not sure. I think it's a man, though.
Sure.
But either way, she might come in and kind of guide those questions, being from the emergency room world. Kind of what the virus is, what you like real statistics versus what you see on Facebook. I know I see
Fox
a lot
or CNN.
of screenshot stats going around and large paragraphs of this and that can be typed up by God knows anybody.
Oh yeah, me. I could have typed it up.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I have done some. Don't get me wrong here. I've written some fake ones. I'm just kidding. But maybe get some real medical advice as of whatever day we get that done.
Right.
So stay tuned, I guess.
So I think the key takeaways from this episode is, one, it's not the end of the world, but it is okay to be anxious about it.
Yep.
If you are anxious about it, seek out your loved ones, seek out your pastors, your spiritual leadership. There are avenues there. If you're being negatively impacted by this situation, especially in a food sense, a caloric sense, there are avenues to help with that, as we mentioned. And really, like Russ said, hey, we're the sons and daughters of people who tamed a continent in 50 years and beat the Germans and Japanese. So it's just a time to kind of maybe practice a little bit of self-sacrifice, get a little bit more self-reliant, and come together as a community.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts.
You've got the internet, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Speaking of internet.
903
just released an email today thanking their loyal customers and appreciating the fact that we are being patient with their probably over demand of calls and non-ability to get to all those calls, partially because they've had to close some of their office. And they do have a drop box where they're accepting payments and stuff like that, but they've got a go by the rules too, and go by what needs to be done, and that is social distancing apparently, and everybody's got to practice it, including those guys. And one thing they did mention in their email was if you are sick yourself, please let the what do you call them? The tech know, before he comes up to your house.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things that needs to be done. But
Gloves
they said
up.
they are getting a ton of calls. They are patiently going through them all and getting back to everybody, and servicing as needed, and they're working hard. So keep that in mind, because that's probably the most important thing to your sanity right now, as you're listening to this through the internet or Huluing or doing whatever you're doing on the internet. We thank those guys for taking care of us.
Absolutely. So
with that, I guess we will Dallas out.
We will. See you guys next time.
Later.